File, change pixels to inches. You're going to go 11 inches on width and 8.5 inches on the height, and we're going to go ahead and change this to 300 pixels per inch. Change that to 16-bit and hit create. This is set up for my printer, so we're going to first off change the layer from a background to a layer by unlocking that. When you first open this, you will have no rulers on the screen. Command R is ruler. And grab anywhere on here, click and hold on the mouse and drag down, and you get your guideline. So you again grab the ruler, click any number, click and drag down, and your guideline goes there. So you're placing 2 horizontal guidelines on the top of the page and 2 on either side. Then we're going to go up to image and canvas size, change pixels to inches. If this button relative is not selected, make sure you select it. It should be currently 11 by 8.5. Hit the check mark, put 1 in each for the width and height, and hit OK. What this does is it gives us an area for the printer to actually do what's called a bleed. It's where it fades off on the edges. We're going to grab those security guidelines, we're going to drag them down to above and below and then on either side. So if I zoomed out, you'll see I have 2 blue lines horizontally on top and bottom, and 2 horizontally going vertical on either side. Now I'm going to go over here to the rectangle tool. It is down towards the bottom. Select it. I'm going to divide. I have 0 to 3600 here. I'm going to divide it in 1/3. So my width would be 1200. So I'm going to measure that width. There's a little black window next to my line. And it says 1284, 1279. That's the W equals the width. Take that down to 1200. I think I was over just a hair. Let's see. Once it's in place, we're going to make copies by holding the Option key, clicking on the rectangle layer 1 here, and dragging down. I'm going to do that twice so we have copy 1 and copy 2. Using my Move tool, which is the top, I'm going to grab each layer and move it into place. Now I'm keeping my background all red. You can change that color to anything you want to by clicking on the actual image here. This square, not the little one in the corner, but the entire thing. So if I were to click on this, double click it, I can change that color to a gray if I wanted to, or even just an off-whitish. I can do that here and double click. I can use the eyedropper and just click that color and steal the same exact color if I would like to. Hit OK, and then go down to the original. I'm going to steal that color again. Okay. These lines may disappear as I start to work, so I'm going to go ahead and put 2 more vertical guidelines in. Right there to show me that these are 3 individual columns. So I have column 1, column 2, column 3. At this point, you can go up to File and Save As, and you can save this on your computer. Looking for my flash drive, hang on a second. Save on my computer. I'm going to call this my brochure template. And I'm going to actually save that in on my desktop here. For now, I can't find my oh, here it is. I'm going to save it in here as my brochure template. This is my flash drive. Saving it there. And okay, it's a Photoshop document. A copy of this will be saved there. So I can use this for my front or my back. So I'm going to use this for the front of my brochure. So I'm going to start here with creating the design. I'm locking all my layers in order to make sure I don't accidentally place something where I don't want to. I'm creating a new layer. So I just created a new layer. I'm going to actually draw on this. The class here is photography. I'm going to insert a image. I'm going to use my polygonal lasso tool to kind of draw on page 1 here. This is the front of my page. And I am going to put an image in here to fit this space. So I know I'm going to have an image here. I'm going to go ahead and paint this with my paint bucket tool. If you have yet to use it, it'll be underneath your gradient tool here on the left. You click and hold, your paint bucket tool comes up. Once you've created a marquee here with your polygonal lasso or any of the other shapes, you can go through and just pick whatever color you happen to want and drop it in. I'm going to use white for now because I think I'm going to put in an image. You know what? No, I'm going to go with like a dark blue. Put it in that spot. Now I'm going to create another place to put some text. I'm going to change my idea here. I'm putting my text here. I'm going to do vertically. I'm going to give like this background in my design for a text box, so to speak. Now when I fill, you notice it didn't fill up in this area. I can go in and click that with my paint bucket and it leaves as a black line, or I can just leave it the blue and deselect. To deselect, you can click on your move tool, sorry, your arrow here. Oh, I'm working on the brochure. Okay, so we can go to select and hit deselect, or we can hit Command D. Either one, whichever is your preferred, would be your deselection. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and pull in an image for the front here. I'm going to do that by going up here to File, Open. I go to my desktop here. Let's go to My Stuff. I open this. Now it comes in as a background. You can change this to a layer if you would like to. You don't necessarily need to. You can do any editing you want in this and then move it over, or you can do your editing in your brochure. I'm going to do my editing in my brochure, so I'm going to go to my Move tool. I'll select this image and I'm going to drag it over to where the arrow points over onto the brochure layer. I come down and then I let go of my mouse. This will come up and say, you know, it's different than the last. I'm going to say, yeah, that's fine. Now it comes in larger than my screen. In order to edit the size, you can go to the word Edit, and then Transform and Scale. And this will give you just the anchors to choose to select your size. So I'm going to go ahead and change this one. I don't like that darker spot above it. I'm going to make it fit. That blue shape. Yeah. There's a couple of things I could do. I can go back to this layer using my magic wand tool and select just that shape. Come back to layer 2. Shift Command I is to select the inverse, or you can go up to Select and click Inverse. And hit Delete, and it deletes everything other than that shape. I'm not a super big fan of that one for this one, so I'm going to create my own cutout with this marquee tool. I'm going to start about here. I'm going to create this little cutout that I can keep pretty rigid. So if I go like this, my lines can go in all sorts of angles. If I hold the Shift key, it can go straight up and down. And then I can click and I can follow this inside. Well, it seems close enough for me, as there's a little bit of area that I don't like. I'm going to go ahead and select the inverse again. And then delete the inverse. That way I have this blue kind of border around it. Then I can go through and change my opacity back to full throttle. And I have this image in it. Now, that done, if I deselect anything, if there's a marquee on it, maybe I don't like the blue so much. I kind of like these red colors. So I can go back to these layers and change with that paint bucket tool. So I think, let's see if I can't borrow some color from them.